That's how I'm firing. I'm strong. I'm strong. I'm strong. Strong.
And we are back. Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy CMB checking in. And guys, I know it's been a minute since I've come on here and made a video. Some of you guys know I've been doing a lot of live streams as of late. And a lot of that was due to the fact when I was in Manila, I couldn't upload. You know, it was so difficult. So it was easier to do live streams. But now I'm back home. You know, I think it's time. I think it's time to make some videos for the subscribers out there. And for the people who have been supporting me on the live streams, I want to thank you guys as well. But anyway, we're going to talk now about two fighters that we hadn't talked about in quite some time. Due to the inactivity of both fighters, of course, I'm talking about Errol the True Spence Jr. and his former stablemate, Jermell Charlo. And both of those guys, of course, used to fight under the tutelage of Derrick James. Now, not too long ago, I would say in the near recent past, Jermell Charlo poked his head up out of nowhere and started calling out guys at 154 pounds. He called out the likes of, I think, Jaron Business, Virgil Ortiz. I think he even threw Sebastian Fundora in there. And to a lot of people's surprise, he called out none other than Errol the True Spence Jr. That took a lot of people off guard. You know, they didn't really expect that. And Jermell said that they are no friends in boxing. Now, Errol Spence Jr. was recently at Roy Jones Jr.'s new gym that he just opened up in Dallas, Texas. And of course, he was questioned about that. And he did give his response, which I'm surprised he did, because you guys know Errol, he's always ducking and dodging questions, guys. I think I saw him being asked about, is he going to return or not? And he didn't really answer that. You guys know the rumor is he's returning soon and he'll be taking on Tim Tszyu. But we'll see. You know, he hadn't said anything, so I'm just waiting to see if that's true. But that's the rumor that's out there. But let me play this clip, this audio of him answering that question about his thoughts on being called out by Jermell Charlo. So listen real close, guys. All right, so I don't know if you guys heard that. He gave a few answers there. He said that, you know, he's looking for a payday. He said that Terrence is gone, Canelo's gone. I guess, you know, he's assuming that he's the money man now, and everybody know how the sparring went between those two. You know, he's implying that, you know, he's a better fighter than Jermell Charlo. And I think Jermell did respond to Errol talking about he's just looking for a payday on his verified, I think it was on his X page. He said wow or something like that. I hadn't checked lately if he said anything else. But I want to get my thoughts on that real quick. I think Errol Spence Jr. is right, and I think he is wrong as well. I think he's right. I think Jermell Charlo wants a payday. And that's a given because, you know, he's a prize fighter. And that's what all fighters want. They want a good payday. But honestly, I think it's more than that with Jermell Charlo. Jermell Charlo is a very competitive guy. He's very competitive. And we've seen that, you know, even with his brother, he's very competitive with that. You've seen him kind of low-key competing with Errol Spence Jr. I think that he feels like he doesn't get the respect that he deserves. And, you know, that kind of drives, I think, his competitive nature. People don't look at Jermell Charlo for what he's accomplished in the sport, in my opinion. You know, he was undisputed in one of the toughest divisions in boxing. And then he dared to be great. He went up to face Canelo at 168. He dropped the ball. You know, I'll admit that. I made a video about that after the fight, how I thought, you know, he just didn't really give it his all in the fight. And I think that's what people kind of remember him for. They don't remember the struggle that it took for him to become undisputed at 154 pounds. Now, I don't know if Errol would ever fight him, But I think that would be a very interesting fight, in my opinion. And looking at both of these guys, you know, they've both been out of the ring, let's see, for quite some time. So yeah, they've both been out of the ring since 2023. Errol was, the last time he fought, I think it was June or July, when he lost to Terrence Bud Crawford. It was September for Jermell when he lost to Canelo Alvarez. So it's been about the same amount of time for both of the guys being out of the ring. As far as, you know, the tale of the tape goes between these guys, they're pretty similar. I would say you have Errol Spence Jr. Of course, he's a southpaw. He's 5'9.5", 72-inch arm reach. He has a record of 29-1. And you have Jermell, who's an orthodox fighter. He's slightly taller. He's 6 feet. He has a slightly longer arm reach at 73 inches. And he has 2 losses on his record, of course. One to Canelo Alvarez, and that one to Tony Harrison, which he did, you know, come back and beat Tony Harrison and got his title back. Now, I hear a lot of people, they're on Errol's side, you know, of course, because Errol's the more popular of the two, and they think that Errol would completely wash Jermell Charlo, but I'm not so quite sure about that. I'm not quite so sure if Errol can really wash Jermell Charlo. You know, sparring's one thing, but being in the actual fight is something totally different. And I'm looking at certain aspects. I'm looking at the fact that, you know, I would say that Errol has a little bit more wear and tear on him with the car accident, with the eye surgery, being brutally stopped by Terrence Bud Crawford. I think a lot of those things would play into this fight. They've been out of the ring, like I said, you know, about the same amount of time. Whereas you look at Jermell, you know, he's never been stopped. You know, he got knocked down by Canelo Alvarez, but he's never been brutally knocked out. That's his weight class, 154 pounds. He's a very athletic fighter, very gifted fighter. Honestly, I think, you know, he would give Errol Spence Jr. a run for his money. I think that would be a very entertaining fight. You know, he's going to come to fight. He's one of those guys that I think personally has been overlooked. He's a hell of a fighter. He just dropped the ball when it came to the Canelo Alvarez fight. I don't know if it was the fact that, you know, he just went up there for a payday and, you know, decided not to perform well. I would say more it was, you know, him not being able to carry the weight like he thought he would, you know, tiring out, not being able to handle Canelo Alvarez's power. I think it was a number of things leading up to his loss with Canelo Alvarez where Terrence Bud Crawford made it look easy. It was a number of things. But I think that that fight between him and Errol Spence Jr. would be extremely competitive. So I wouldn't count Jermell Charlo out because, you know, he's not the popular guy. You know, because when you have guys like him who feels like they're not getting their due, you know, they're going to fight a lot harder than somebody who has, you know, the love behind them. But that's just my thoughts on that. But anyway, you guys let me know what you think about what Errol Spence Jr. had to say. Now, do you think Errol Spence Jr. will return? Do you believe this stuff with the Tim Tszyu thing? Do you think he's coming back to the sport? Let me know how you think if he did face Jermell Charlo, what the outcome of the fight would be. You guys let me know how you feel about it in the comment section. It's the CMB. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. And I'm out. Peace.